But at KFC, there's still stuff.
Whenever you have your gadgets.
Wow, we're ready for that.
When you turn around. Right? Man, some guy my monitor. Man, guy you be the most on small we need a man small hair they panic. So guy have number never control. So take a little man, after no, I know that. They are powerful in the country. You cannot.
Well, but that is why I think it's good to have a balance. There are people that can also speak out.
They are very connected.
But I think where we are as a nation, man, the only thing is the anger levels and the insults.
It's not anger. It's not anger, and it's not intolerance. It's ignorance.
But ignorance is not translating
so want to have a dialogue with you.
Well, that's it. Yeah. When you are running out of ideas, and you start with something,
But
man, I have always said, I think one of the things.
How many more minutes?
It's 1 minute. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. One of the things when sometimes it's as if Jammeh has made us all paranoid.
Jammeh didn't make us paranoid.
No, I don't know. Look at what sometimes we look at the country from a Jammeh perspective. In the sense that you try to fight what Jammeh did and Jammeh is wrong.
Is it missing that?
Yes.
How do you know this? Madam Jai,
that's why then he came and brought the message over. Those are all secret. Once my I come to credit, I don't know she was buying credit for people.
You do the program out and say so. No,
Sadly, we silent. Silent. All right, good to go. Good to go. It's going to be an interesting evening. The kitchen's going to be heated.
Coming from you is always heated.
Some of my uncles may not be happy.
Good evening, listeners. Welcome to another evening of Straight Talk here on West Coast Radio 92.1. With me, we have the Straight Talk team, and this evening we are going to introduce a special guest who is with us. Interestingly, he's another guy that will be joining us. I think in the house with 3 guys is going to be very interesting. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, our listeners out there, those that keep following us closely, Straight Talk is here to just bring into the fore discussions on current affairs in our country, what is happening in the country. We just want to have a serious and frank conversation, speak truth to ourselves as Gambians, also speak truth to power, and ensure that we are on the right track. We do not claim to have all the answers and the solutions to Gambia's problems, but we just want to bring a national discourse and ask Gambians, how do we chart the way forward? We hold no brief for anyone, we speak our minds. It is Straight Talk, and you are welcome to join us online. In the house this evening, as usual, I have Mr. Nyang Njie. Nyang, welcome once again to Straight Talk. I think I had a 2-week break. It's good. I was following you last week from Ghana, and thanks for holding the fort and for your service to the nation. Welcome, Nyang.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
And the other guy in the house is Mr. Modu Njie. Modu Njie, I will not want to talk about where he works and things like that. He is Mr. Modu Njie, and he's a Gambian because he's come here as a citizen to also join the program and just also give us his opinion on things. Gentlemen, this evening, the question on my mind is, are we a serious nation? Interestingly, I was chatting with a good, well, I will call him my senior brother, and he asked the question that, are we a serious nation? And I said, okay, this is exactly this is what I've been pondering on all week. Are we a serious nation? And the reason this question comes to mind is so many things are happening in our country. COVID-19 cases are increasing, yet politicians are having a field day, having rallies without people with masks, and you ask yourself, are these people taking us for granted, or are they serious? We look at politicians moving from one place, whack. You know, you say this today, tomorrow it is not. When you are in campaign mode, you can say anything, and Gambians keep following. We look at the supplementary appropriation bill that is before the parliament today. If you look at the lines, the budget lines that are there, you ask yourself, is government really serious? You know, and we'll get to that. Again, we look at our health situation in this country. I don't think any of us in this place would say that our health conditions have improved. Yet we see our people jumping all over the place. And the last but not the least is, why do we take politicians so seriously? When you could see a Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara that have caused so much pain, and 3,000 plus people died, you know, and today they are shaking hands and cozying up to each other. And yet, the people that have lost their lives, you could say, have lost their lives again. So, are we a serious nation, gentlemen? Before we get into, and again, the other thing I wanted to bring about, we celebrate coup plotters. Until today, we even have a self-confessed coup plotter that wants to be a president for our country. So, gentlemen, are we a serious nation? We will look at the topics as we move on. But your thoughts on this topic, are we a serious nation? Mr. Nyang.
Thank you so much. But before I start, I'll just put up a quote out there. It says, politics is the second oldest profession after prostitution.
Okay.
Yes. It's been around for far too long, and is a game of vested interest whereby the participant and actors in the political game like to preserve themselves and make sure they remain relevant at all costs.
Yes.
So what Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara demonstrated is to show there is no love lost but personal interest. Back to the Gambia, are we a serious country? My answer is flat out no. And it's not only the leadership but the very people who are led. Unfortunately, Gambia people are lazy. This is not an insult. When I say lazy, I'm not even talking about work attitude. I'm talking about indifference to nation building.
Okay.
You look at the Gambia thoroughly, you will know that we are not serious for prime time. Go to our ferry terminal, you will see how things are. You go to our airport, you will see how things are. You go through our checkpoints. Gambia is one village that refused to be a town, talk more of being a country. And its attitudes, the attitude of the Gambian, to be honest, it's like the Gambian has time travel and we're living in 1986 when our immediate neighborhood, including Guinea-Bissau, is living at least 2007, 2008. We're still in the late 80s collectively as a nation. I mean, you look at our roads, the quality of roads we do. You look at our schools. You look at, for years, over 10, 12 years, we've been having a declining educational system vis-a-vis the results that are coming out of it. And we are yet to see it as a problem. We have degenerative healthcare system. People are dying of infant mortality, childbirth, maternal mortality, and yet still we are not doing anything to stem the tide. Gambia, no problem. That's the cliche that got us to where we are.
Wow. Mr. Modu, you know, when you hear such truths, you get disheartened. Like, you know, when will we get out of this? But we say, yeah, your thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Honorable Jason Njie and Nyang Njie. It's been an honor to sit amongst you guys. Wow, are we a serious nation? Definitely not. You know, after living in the States for 20 years, living there, you would think that we would have moved ahead. But we still have the same electricity problems. We still have the internet problems. We still have no water. Clean water, just for people to drink water is a problem. So we are definitely not a serious nation. When you look at our healthcare system, it's a mess. I mean, just when my mom passed, may Allah grant her the heavens, but just living 3 weeks in the healthcare system, just knowing that even gloves you have to go and buy, spirit you have to go and buy, bandages you have to go and buy, medicine. I mean, and you here, you think you're an average citizen who probably works, you're in the middle class, and you're thinking about, wow, how about the other people below me then? They're probably dead. If you have 3 weeks to live, you probably just have a day. So it's sad that we're living in the Stone Ages, and my biggest disappointment is that most people that have gone out, that are exposed, that see the outside world, we have leaders here who travel all the time. We see how these nations are built. We don't have to look too far, we just have to look to Senegal. And we see how their roads are done, the quality work that's done in it. And we're here just playing around, taking it, and we're so complacent. We accept it as it's normal. We accept it. We see trash everywhere. I went to the beach this past Sunday. I've never been to Kasumé Beach. I went there. You are seeing more trash than you would see people.
Wow.
More trash.
And you have left the U.S. after a comfortable life. A comfortable life, and said, okay, let me go and settle back in my country.
Yes. And
yet you see that what you have left is far better. And there is no seeming improvement in sight.
And Nyang spoke about it, about just education. That's just one factor. During the PPP times, we could say, yes, there was corruption here and there, but it was perceived as corruption. But at the same time, there was corruption to some level that we were not aware of because we were young. But the fact that the quality of education we were receiving back then, people were trying to make these common entrance. I heard there's no common entrance now.
Adopted a new system.
I don't know if there is.
Is it the 633 something?
But
you pass everybody. You promote everybody to the next level.
So no competition?
Yes, and you see people go to university. They can't even write an essay. You see them speak, and you're like, what are they talking about? And you know, we have so many problems. Tribalism. We have so many infected problems in our country that we can sit down talking here from now till tomorrow. We wouldn't be finished.
Interesting. You talked about something, and basically I really you could respond. And I said this, I think, at one of the last programs. So I went to the country, throughout the country, and looked at the way people are living. And I said, our public officials must be very mean. Some of them come from these places. Some of us were city boys, many people call us that. So we have not seen the extent of those levels of poverty. But you are coming from this surrounding, and you come now to the city. Instead of having the conscience, the good conscience to say, let me go back and help develop my region and support the development of the country holistically, you are not doing it. And you go to some of these places in the provinces, you ask whether we are still whether we are in the 21st century. Mr. Yen.
Well, the problem, I think it's not about them. It's about us collectively. You see, failure in leadership is not only about the presidency. It's about the clergy, ability, public accountability won't be brought back to work. Public accountability.
Let me just cut you. The interesting thing about the book issue is the Inspector General of Police then was very keen on the committee that was put up to investigate this. And the police had even given the compensation as per and now the
issue is not about the guilt of going to work or not. The issue is there was a public outcry. And after the public outcry, we all know, and Stevie Wonder the Blind knew that his method of law enforcement infringes on the rights of people.
Exactly.
And therefore, he should not, I don't mind him being a police, but he should be resigned to desk work. He should not interface with people. Criminals are criminals.
He was immediately assigned as a disciplinary measure.
Well, I think this is a slap in the face, number one. Number two, it shows there's no accountability in this country.
And we are not a serious nation.
Absolutely not.
And when we go to the Golden Meat issue, I mean, things are probably so bad that Gambia feels like they need a Golden Meat.
Yeah, there are people that are coming back.
People think that way.
Yeah.
And they are so bad that, you feel like this is the best you can offer.
Wow.
That's so bad. And some people respect him in the force. Don't get me wrong, no matter how evil it is. But what I'm saying is, whether we are serious is, you see educated people encouraging violence, celebrating violence. And you see a good move. It brings me back to that, like, why are we celebrating violence? Why are we celebrating somebody who tortures people? So we go back to the same...
And rewarding them as well.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
We should be accountable to ourselves.
Okay.
There's a reason for that, and the reason is every square inch or meter in this country is a crime scene, and every Gambian is a victim, be it physical, psychological, or otherwise. 2017, and this is why I fault the President of the Republic. Gambians were not yearning for roads or more electricity. We were yearning for healing of the mind, of the heart, of the soul, of the Gambian. Because what you are seeing today, I think it's basically an offshoot of a people who are not at peace with themselves. And we need therapy. We need consolation. We need someone who can bring us, the diverse people of this country, back together. And Mr. President, that is the failure of his tenure in office. He was looking more for re-election and development than healing the Gambian. And a country that's not healed is a country that's not at peace with itself. Right now, the bickering you are seeing, social media is a reflection of a brother Gambia. And things will not change. That's why I believe this December election is a reset button for a genuine transition. Genuine in the sense that whoever wins must try to get a government of national unity to make sure that the nation and the house we want to build called Gambia is premised on solid fundamentals. These fundamentals start with good constitution. This fundamental starts with rebuilding the Gambian. This fundamental starts with healing the Gambian. This fundamental starts with restitution. People who have done wrong to pay for their crimes. People who have been wrong to be compensated, and reparations due to them. And reparations is not always financial. And this is why our country is in a state of dismay.
You talked about accountability in public service. And we're saying mostly that we are not a serious nation, but we've seen the KMC mayor come out and recommend the suspension of public officials that have been found accused of doing wrong. And that, I mean, for some Gambians, and a good number of Gambians, I've seen a lot of people commending the I know it is still work in progress, what is happening, the investigations and all that, but I think that is an example that is set, that a public official, a leader in public life can come out and say, look, we are not taking corruption, we are not condoning it, and the right thing needs to be done. We are calling for investigations. Unlike our central government, where there have been a lot of accusations, and it's as if people are...
Or people who have been even found wanting. People who have been derelict. People who have abused office and still given the opportunity
to continue to say. Well, let me hear from Wolf.
For me, I believe that it's a step in the right direction to fight corruption. But we're still not serious, because we don't have to wait for a US State Department to write a very damning report in this country to tell us about we've never taken any steps. For the past 5 years, there hasn't been a single case in terms of corruption. And then 1 week after that, we see steps being taken. Yes, we applaud it, but we can do more, and there's much more to come.
But what would you say? We have a parliament that is sitting on an anti-corruption bill.
Parliament has failed from day one.
They are sitting on the anti-corruption bill. And the argument is the majority of people in parliament are from the opposition party. Yet there is nothing happening about the anti-corruption bill.
The first 2 years of this government was all you did. And that's the honest truth. So nothing proper, nothing was fixed. The unity that you are talking about now, that's what we had. We were after dictatorship. 22 years of dictatorship. We just needed healing. We just needed somebody to come in there, put things together. You don't even need to build. We don't want you to build a road. We just wanted you to build a terrible nation that just went through 22 years of dictatorship, of heartache. But now that that is gone and past, yes, we need a unity government. We need reconciliation. We need healing. We need reparation. But now, there's this other side that's always talked about justice. Justice. Now, there's no one much more fairer than God. God's justice you can't escape. But the Gambia is way too small now. If we have to persecute everybody, we might as well persecute ourselves, because we were the ones clapping for dictatorship. We were clapping for Nyang Njie. We told Nyang Njie.
There are what you call high crimes and misdemeanors.
That's true.
People who have committed misdemeanors, we can turn a blind eye to. But people who have willfully...
But they're walking on the streets.
Well, that's my point precisely. We need justice.
Not only walking on the streets, they're in high position.
You see, this country, it's unfortunate. Nyaka jom is the bedrock of where this country finds itself. Am na ñoo xam ne bu doon jom ak deret dafa daw seen yaram boo leen ooyee jox leen place dañ naa ne baalal ñu kersoo naa ko te gàccoo naa ko. waaye Gambie dafa bari nit ñu bari ñoo xam ne duñ nit ci dara te li ci gën a ñaaw li tax maay wax lii ci olof dama bëgg a déglukat yi dégg ko bu baax. Nyang Njie duy xase waaye daf dee wax li nga xam ne nit ñi bëgguñ koo dégg te mooy dégga réew mi li ko yaaka ñetti nit la ñi nga xam ne dañ xam te bëgguñoo bokka ci li war a jagal réew ñaareel bi ñi nga xam ne dañ ñàkk a jom te su fi nguuri Adama Barrow jeexoon tey ñoom nit ñooñu ñooy jógaat ñëw nekk ay sàmba mboyaan di woyalaat ñeneen ñi fiy toog te ba tey ñun mënuñoo ubbi suñu bëj ràññee leen ne ñii duñ nit ñoo xam ne dañ baax pour yóbbu dëkk bi kanam mun nañoo ñàkk a jom seen right la waaye ñun ñoo war a am fulla ak fayda te suñ nguur gi ñoo war a am fulla ak fayda de façon nit ñooñu sax duñ jéem ne dañoo jëflanteeg ñoom lii mooy feebari réew mi te buñ ko wecci wut réew bi fu gën a garaaw fii laa dem li kay ñàkk a jom bi dafa gën a yaaxu léegi gën a yaatu.
Okay, are we a serious nation? The Ministry of Finance has brought a supplementary appropriation bill. 63.82% of that budget is going to the Ministry of Works and Transportation on roads and bridges. The second that is coming, second highest, is 7.58 to the Ministry of Health to purchase ambulances. You have raised this, Mr. Njie, that we are in a COVID situation. Other countries, serious-minded countries, are purchasing the vaccine. There is no budgetary allocation to purchase the vaccine. You are thinking of buying ambulances, 134 million to buy ambulances. Are we a serious country? Do we have a serious government?
And where do we take the patients? Where do we take them? You see an ambulance bringing a patient. For 2 hours they are on an ambulance stretcher. There's no bed. They don't have hospital beds. Where do we place them? We don't have a good hospital in this country. Probably the best hospital you probably see or clinic is Buffalo, but they are so super expensive. But
how many Gambians can
afford to go there? So we don't. Where's all this money going? When we are still buying gloves, yeah.
Yeah, but the issue is beyond that. It's a mockery and an insult to the tax-paying Gambian that our government will commit itself to contracts that they know we cannot fund within a fiscal year and we don't have the means. And guess what? The get out of jail card is called supplementary appropriation. They will bring to Parliament a budget that is in line with our macroeconomic environment. 6 months down the line, they bring a supplementary. So for me, that's willful deceit.
Yeah.
They know because they have what you call prior commitments. The Banjul contract is a prior commitment. The Nyomi Hakalan is a prior commitment. So the supplementary is not budgeting for things that are unforeseen. They already know about it, but they have deferred things that they didn't want on the primary budget, and later on they will come out with the get out of jail card. And for me, this is sickening. For me, this is criminal. For me, this is dishonesty at its highest. Because in January, they know the capital outlay for all these projects now against December. But they know that the budget envelope cannot accommodate those expenditures. So you take them out, and this is the third consecutive year they're coming out with a supplementary appropriation. That's not what supplementary appropriation is meant for. These are meant for severe rainy days that the country cannot move on its own, and ask Parliament to do an extraordinary action to make sure the state continues in its operation. But now it has become a norm, a culture, and a tradition. And it is irresponsible, and the people who are doing it, they are as guilty as the criminal out in the streets.
But the people that are endorsing it, our own representatives, also have a part to play. Because if I bring something year one, you approve it, I bring it, I mean, you are showing me that anytime you bring, I would possibly give you a nod. So our National Assembly members, our National Assembly is also failing us.
And that's why we need a revamp of the system. Because the system is not working. Clearly it hasn't been working for decades. We keep doing the same thing, we keep repeating. As Obama said, you keep doing the same thing over and over. You might want to change your...
I'm expecting the different results.
So the fact that they're approving these projects, the fact that we're actually... How many women go to the hospitals, end up dead, just by giving birth? How many people, how many of our children die because they don't even have oxygen? So you're talking about vaccines. People, serious nations are buying vaccines, and we're here, we don't even talk about vaccination. How many people have actually taken the vaccine that we're talking about? So they should divert money where it's needed. We don't need to build nothing. We don't need to build nothing right now. We just need to get the system working and fixed and unite the nation, because we are more divided than ever before. And I'm afraid that this might just end up in a civil war eventually.
No.
Listen to this. Ministry of Interior has a budget for 45 million, and it says 3 million honorarium for the drug and law enforcement personnel on the recent drug seizure. 3 million honorarium. The drugs were seized, but we have not had anything. Yeah, well, there's a recent drug seizure. Also, monthly subvention has been increased, but you're asking for 45 million.
Yeah, the 45 million.
To motivate staff, the increment will resume.
I'm sure, we're entering into an election year. The security apparatus of this country, especially the PIU and the police will be at a heightened state of alert, considering the numerous political events that are going to happen around the country. So there'll be a lot of overtime and other things, and they're virtually... No, I'm just saying, this is outside of their normal monthly recurrent expenditure. But these are not the problem. Allow me. But let me come. These are not the problem. These are token sums. You're talking about 30 million. We're talking about $1.7 billion. Let's look at the Banjul Rehabilitation Project. Let us look at the Nyomi Hakalang project. Are these projects politically expedient and in the interest of one person relative to the greater good of society? The answer is yes. What is happening vis-a-vis the roads that are to be built in Nyomi, vis-a-vis the Banjul project, is to show that the government of the Gambia cannot afford the intent and the projects they have embarked on. But guess what? They will still do it because it's politically feasible and palatable and works for someone's personal interest against that of the greater good. And this is selfishness. And that's why what we need is for the Parliament to pass a debt legislation ceiling, curbing the arms of the government to tell them, you cannot borrow more than X% of your previous year's budget. So even if they come with a supplementary, you will read them the Riot Act called the debt legislation ceiling, meaning based on this, you cannot borrow more than X. End of story.
Interestingly, I listened to the debate today, and one of the National Assembly members said, in 22 years, what we have borrowed, this government in 4 years has almost gone halfway.
Yes.
Of what we have borrowed in 22 years.
It's irresponsible fiscal policy. And you know what? When people talk people see us as anti-government. We are not anti-government. We are anti-graft, we are anti-waste, and we are anti-segal ma warla. Fi ben president ñun waru ñoo jël suñ alal suñ campaign funds. Living campaign fund am mu nekk suñ public treasure, meaning if he wants to go and do his campaign, he gets up, I'm going to visit Kerewan today. State resources. And when he goes there, he's on MPP campaign at your expense. When Barack Obama wanted to use Air Force One, even Donald Trump, they will allow him to use Air Force One, but they will bill him. No, they will bill him and he will pay. In the State House, the White House, if he invites someone, they will give him whatever he wants to eat and they will give him a bill and he pays. That's what responsible government is.
I learned that even the public officials that travel with Air Force One pay for their meals.
Yes.
On Air Force One.
That's responsibility.
Yes. That's responsible government.
But we're not responsible. We're not responsible people. We don't show it. Even the expenditure. What I know about, I'm not an economist. But what I do know is you cut spending where it's unnecessary. You look at the former budget, you like, what, we spend so much. Do we need these furniture? Do we need to buy more furniture every time we're buying furniture? Are they good enough? Are they in good use? That do we need to change furniture every year? You know, cars, all these expensive stuff. And guess what? The taxes. How can you put taxes down? Yes, we are a tax-based economy. But how do you put taxes down to encourage more businesses? Many businesses are going to Senegal, dumping their containers there, and then end up coming here selling their products. What are we doing that makes sense? Let's talk to the economists. Let them do what makes sense.
Well, Mr. Njie has been calling for a reform.
We have people who know what they need to do that makes sense, but unfortunately, personal interest has overwritten the greater good and the collective interest. And the only way it will change is public accountability by punishing people who are violating the basic tenets of good governance.
Wow. Well, listeners, the number to call is 446-1193. We will open the lines now. You could call 446-1193 here on West Coast Radio. This is Straight Talk with the three guided guys just speaking our hearts out. We have a call coming in, gentlemen. Hello, good evening, caller. Good evening. Yes, good evening, caller. January. Wow. Yeah, the attitude towards work, the young people need to get to work and also to support what is happening and not just wait for government. Good point. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Straight Talk. Malaikum salam. Jamai.
jërëjëf waaye monsieur Ndiaye am na leneen lu ma bëgg a wax tuuti mooy fan yi maa ngi toppa géej gi ak li fiy xew góorgóorlu naa ba am ñuy liggéey ci gaal ñu nangul maan toppal Chinese yi gis nga jën yi tuuru ci géej gi du jën yu feebar de Chinese yi dañoo dugg si suñ géej gi di nappa waaye ñoom dafa am spécial jën yu ñoo ut pour génne ko export ko gaal let's say 20 tonnes jën la mun a eb soo ñoom suñ nappee liñ soxlut dañ koo sànniwaat ci géej gi fekk jën yi dee na because ñu ne ñu ngee dugal seen mbaal yi boori 3 o'clock ñu bàyyi ko ba 9 ñu door xëcca soo jën yooyu su nekkee ci mbaal mi sonna nañ ba pare bàyyi di time mu egg ci kaw gaal bi dee na soo dafa mel ni ñoom seen 20 tonnes jën liñ soxla balañ koo am dinañ jàppa lu mu tuuti tuuti benn 45 to 60 tonnes yi jën te indi luñ ñu ko ñu ngi koo sànni ci géej gi muy tumba di ñëwaat lii nag mu ngee nekk si jabaate te nag man blématuma Chinese ñun liñ moom te ndomba tànka yiñ ko dénka ñooñu ñoo sérieux li te buñ sérieux woon lii du am te nag wéedi gis bokk si lii utee naa nit ku la nettali lii kuy liggéey ci biir gaal moo ma ko vidéo li yónnee ma ko ñu teg ko lii nag bu fekkee ne nguur gi dafa tëral xam ne ni faale wuñ ñu te lii moo tax feebar gi ci réew mi dafa bari léegi baadoola Gambie kobo la doon dundee kobo mënatut a am li te kobo yi ñu ngi koo liggéey pour mbaam yi nekk China and guess what léegi baadoola Gambie bi tànki ganaar la lekk tànki ganaar yi antibiotique bi si nekk dafa bari moo tax cancer gi nekk ci réew mi torox tànge gi nekk fi nguur gi nag dañu war a wax ndax ñoom ñi ci biti lañ fi nekkal ndax ñun lañ fi nekkal ñun ñi moom li ñëw ñu di ñëw fii di
election this is election year the Gambians will decide it then good evening caller welcome to Straight Talk yeah good evening
jërëjëf amuloo morom
Is it a big deal for the government to just buy some number of trawlers and get Gambians to go and do this thing? Then you have people from outside that are coming to punish us. I mean, you talk about fish in the market and things like that. Why are our government so?
Yes, nga ñun neexutal wax rek waaye ñun amuñu réew. amuñu réew. amuñu dëkk ñun amuñu dëkk because our sovereignty we've lost it. ñun suñ security nekkul suñ ko suñ jën yi lu ñoo nekkee amuñ ko. suñ courant amee woon.
Gentlemen, this is dangerous for any country because these are the things that we are not preempting anything, but any sensible, I mean, when Senegal had their riots, we said this, that you cannot be observing what is happening in other countries and just keep silent because these are telling signs that when people are pushed to the wall, they will react.
Yeah, amuñu réew because dëkk bu am géej am riba si digga nga toog sa doomi réew yi mënuñoo gis jën price yi high de soo demee Tànjee li ñu naan fekkee ma ne la dëkk bi is going bu ngee suuf ñun ci pax lañ nekka ñun dooraguñ sax pour jéem a fuñ nekka billaahi njàpp te maa ngi ko waxal du waxi caaxaan ñun amuñu réew.
Okay, let's take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Salangari.
Boy, namana.
Jërëjëf.
Yeah.
jërëjëf.
Ok.
jërëjëf.
Jërëjëf. Jërëjëf. Yeah. Njëriñ waaw.
Jërëjëf waay.
Jërëjëf Rosie.
Thank you so much.
Good points, Rosie. Well, the young people want to work, but maybe the opportunities are not there.
Yeah, si beneen angle laa bëgg a waxee ñang lu mu wax dëgg la. léegi laziness bokk na ci. waaye tam there's another angle to it. Government dafa am responsibility. Yow suñu population bi most 60% or so youths. After high school, what's there for them? gis nga yeneen dëkkay muus am na ñi nga xam ne duñ dee paas waaye am nañ fu ñu leen dee dugal dañ leen dee train to be technical, to be plumbers, to be carpenters, to be all these other trades yoo xam ne they can create jobs and create opportunities for them.
Problème bi sax foofu sori na xam nga luy problème bi fii ñun suñ school si ba bi ngaa jeexal jàngaluñ la leen lu ñoo ooyee life skills xam nga nit da nga ko war a prepare for independence waaye amul benn classe buñ laa jàngal for life skill number one. Number two amuñ benn programme for career development 2 years 3 years before nga jeexal high school or whatever school fi nga war a dem suñ education system bi li Barack Obama wax if it ain't fixed if it ain't broke don't fix it, but if it's broke fix the damn thing, and we need to fix it. And nguur gi either dañoo nelaw or dañ gumbo. Year in year out perennially xale yaa ngi fail yu bon, especially on core subjects math and English. Dëkk bu bugg a dem nag da ngaa am a good workforce boo xam ne they competitive and productive.
All right. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Straight Talk. Maaleykum salaam. Yeah, mun nga wax ci kaw tuuti mun na dégg bu baax.
Jërëjëf. Waaw. Waaw. Dégg la. Dégg la. Dégg la. Ni ci na dem. Dégg la. Dégg la. Dégg la.
Jërëjëf.
Dégg la.
Jërëjëf. Thank you, caller. I think these are the reasons why maybe somebody can jump to the conclusion, we can conclude that maybe we are not a serious nation because either our governments are not taking us seriously, we the people are not taking ourselves seriously, we are not holding our governments accountable enough, and our parliamentarians are included in
I want to also plead with those who know better. Ñi nga xam ne jàng nañ, ñi nga xam ne tukki nañ, gis nañ àddina ni moo mel. Dëgg la government war naa mën a create incentive pour ñeen ñëw ñu ñib si ngeen dimbale seen waa réew ngeen mën a dem kanam waaye dafa naxar lu toog nga jàng xam li nga xam nga ñëw di receive peanuts kayuñ la si dara defaluñ la benn incentive you see no reason to come because ndox sax ak courant sax internet is a problem so waaye comme ñu ne naa ñaax ne nañ gën a gis Gambia ñu gën a gis ñu ñëpp ñu ñëw ñu jéem a liggéey ñu fittir ne ko ñu jéem a seet ñu ñëw génnee lu fi woon lu fi
loolu yomb na de.
yomb na
jógal ñëw. jógal ñëw kenn bëggut a jóg ñëw torox gis nga. nguur gi moo war a lead by example lan mooy loolu nga encourage diaspora si ñu ñëw. nguur gi wan na diaspora ne doo leen dara ci man dicté 5 years jéemuñ leen a utal carte pour ñu ootee te fii kër yu bari seen rongoñ yi ñi nekk ci biti ñoo koo faj buy dapaas buy school fees bul cash power buy julli Tabaski xoolal kër yu bari su diaspora bi amatoon xar du am de waaye problème bi mooy we are a very ungrateful nation ba ñu Yaaya Jammeh di tumurankeloo suñ mbokk yi nekk ci biti ñoom ñoo bankroll change bi fi nekka with their hard earned money ba changes amee ba tey gisuma ñu jóg champion ne ñoom dañ war a bokk ci kaddu réew mi both in terms of ñu am right pour vote both in terms of ñu def leen a constituent boo xam ne is part of Gambia tey Gambia have a high talent pool of Gambians outside but the example they are seeing is not promising for them to come home.
Yeah, true.
Political will.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Street. Yeah.
jërëjëf.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Will you blame anybody that says they don't know who to vote for? I mean, you have 18 political parties, how many independents, and still counting. I mean, if somebody decides that they will not vote, I don't think it's them being unpatriotic. I think it's just maybe sometimes, I mean, there are people that will tell you, I mean, during the Jame days, there are people that said they are not voting because no elections will remove Jam. So it was pointless to vote.
Well, there are people who don't believe in the process in the first place.
Well, that's
and try to get them involved in the process because no one is more important than anything else. Because Lulu Mota, whether they like it or not, Lulu Mota Yaya Megina. Kata di Mota, it was not coup d'etat, it was not anything else. Kata di Bunde Mega talk, Yaya Megane Togatu, because internationally, organizations, they are formed for these things.
Yeah.
So the will of the people have spoken.
They will put pressure.
Then they will put pressure on them. Because people who are in a coup, it's not a coup. It's not like you form United Nations, you form organization. So Kata is your weapon. Moi bi fa mëna gënën ci nek me sakku mala ko nga jox la waaw but it has to take political will to diaspora bi
Mr. Jai,
yes
dëkk bu serious dafa am investments yu mu war a def Gambia suñ toogee ba am fu ñoo footballé tey yàlla Chinese 1980 something ba tey jëluñ suuf ciment ñu tabax lu ees so sport development mu ngi fay am te now sport is becoming an export for Gambia so xoolee total millions of euros yi ñoo indi by these football players is becoming to rival some sectors of GDP benn ñaareel nguuri Gambia dafa war a xam ne 60% population bi ay ndaw lañ mu prépare ndaw yi pour ëllëg waaye nag foog nga am nguur goo xam ne gumbawuñ nguur gi dañ teex laago gumbaw.
Interestingly, you look at all the youth empowerment projects in this country. You wonder how much Gambian government is putting into youth empowerment.
Nothing.
The young people coming back from all the returnees and all these things. How much Gambian government is investing, I think would show whether the government is serious about its youthful. But gentlemen, unfortunately time is far gone and I think we have only a minute. Maybe just a few seconds, Mr. Jai, the three guys. Just
waxoon naa ko moo gën xamoon naa ko nañ leen jóg ñu waxante dëgg ne nguur gi dañ war a reset button bi am transition bu yees jërëjëf
nañ leen mbooloo nekkal benn xeex lu bon support lu baax démba lu fi bonoon moo fi mën a bon ba tey nit ki doo mën a ootee dara ba pare doonu la ko na ngeen respect seen kaddu te let us be democratic people. We cannot support violence. We have to be democratic. Let us be united.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jais. The three guiders in the house. Thank you very much, listeners out there. Thank you to all of you that have called and to all of you that continue to support Straight Talk. We will be with you next week, the same time. Have a lovely evening. God bless you, and God bless our beautiful